Yo, how's it going guys? Welcome back to a new video. In today's video, we shall talk about some of the tips and strategies which you can use to make sure you win more matches in the Sabotage game mode. And without wasting any time, let's get straight into the video. Sabotage is a 5v5 game mode, which means it's a mode played between two teams with 5 members each. There's a variety of maps for this game mode with a different distance between the two zones. So basically there are two zones, A and B, where you're supposed to plant the bomb. So that means it's easier for you to run out of time on some of the maps compared to others. We are going to start off with a few tips which can be applied in this mode, and then I'll give some tips which are specific to the attackers alone and others which are specific to the defenders. Getting right into it, the first tip that we have here is you need to get used to the maps as soon as possible. And the only way you can do that is by playing as many matches as possible. So once you're used to the map, then you're obviously going to know the distance from zone A to zone B. You're going to know how long it takes to move across the map basically. Not the exact time, but at least you get a feeling and know which map is too big and which map is relatively small. The next tip is try as much as possible to stay close to a teammate or two. There is strength in numbers. An enemy that attacks 2 or 3 teammates who are together has a lower chance of defeating them than if they attack only one of the teammates. So sticking with your teammates dramatically increases your chances of winning. And the third tip we have here is get used to where the different ability charges and health packs are and try to pick them up as soon as possible, or let your teammates that need them more pick them up. So in Sabotage, it's slightly different from other game modes. Ability charges will not automatically recharge, so you'll need to find them on the battlefield. And if you don't pick up the ability charges, you might get caught up in a situation when you're defending the bomb or when you have to defuse the bomb and the enemy is protecting it. So make sure you pick up these ability charges whenever you can, as well as the health packs. Next tip that we have here is, and this works mostly for heroes that have grenades or rockets. Most of the maps have a certain meeting point where the two teams move towards each other and are most likely to meet. So when you reach that point, don't be afraid to throw a grenade there. Obviously, you have to be careful because sometimes your teammates just rush forward and, they might end up going straight into the explosion radius of your grenade. But there's a few times where I throw a grenade at the meeting point, and if the enemy team is made up of mostly SMGs, 2 or 3 of them get caught up in the explosion, and immediately at the start of the round, the enemy team has lost 2 members. At that point, it becomes a 5v3, 5 against 3 enemies, and it's much more easier to get the win. The next tip that we have is always try to have a scan hero on the team if possible. Some of these maps are big and enemies can decide to hide anywhere or come from any direction. Having a scan hero on the team allows you to immediately scan and see where the enemies are or where they are not. A scan is never wasted. If you scan and there are no enemies, that shows you that, you don't have any enemies close by. And if you scan and, there's lots of enemies, then you've seen where the enemies are and can attack. So either way, the scan is useful whether you reveal enemies or not. And the next tip here is, you can actually defuse the bomb while you're invisible. So for example, if you're using a hero like Ghost or Stalker, you can pick up an ability charge, and if you go invisible just before you reach the bomb, you can actually defuse it while you're invisible, and the enemies there will not be able to see you unless they scan or throw a grenade there. So whenever you can do this, try it out. It actually feels very good once you pull it off. Yeah, that's it for the general tips. And then we move on to the tips which are specific to the attackers. So the game mode is made up of 2 teams. You have the attackers and the defenders. The attackers have one job: to plant the bomb and make sure it explodes. That means they have to protect it. On the other hand, the defenders have to make sure that the bomb is not planted, or if it's planted, they have to defuse it and prevent it from exploding. Now, in both cases, any team that gets destroyed automatically loses. Now, if your team is the attackers, my advice would be to always pick up the bomb, plant it immediately, and protect it as a team, as a full team of 5. It will be very hard for the enemy team to get to the bomb and defuse it when there is a full team of 5 protecting it. And then the next step here is, if you're sure the enemy team is made up of bots, then you can abandon the bomb and go straight for the enemy team to destroy them. Or if you're sure the enemy team is significantly weaker than you, you can abandon the bomb and go straight for the enemy team. But otherwise, the main objective should always be to plant the bomb immediately so that the enemy team can look for it. Moving on to the next tip here. Sometimes if you want, you can split up. 3 people can try their best to protect the bomb and plant it. This can be big heroes like Bastion, Dragoon, and maybe Sparkle. And then the other 2 heroes might be 2 ghosts, or maybe a ghost and an angel. And their job can be to destroy as many enemies as possible. But this will only work if the 3 people protecting the bomb stick together and protect it. If they get destroyed while protecting the bomb, then it will be easily diffused. The other 2 allies who go for the enemies will most likely get killed, so the 3 protecting the bomb are the most important in this case. But if the other 2 can make as many kills as possible, then it will be very easy to get the win. And then on the side of the defenders, you don't have the bomb, so you immediately have to rush the enemy team and try to destroy them. That is one way of doing it. The second way that you can do it is, you can go towards one of the zones, especially on a very big map. Sometimes the map is too big, in a way that if you're in the middle of the map and the bomb gets planted, you don't know where it is. So if you go to the wrong zone first, by the time you get to the right zone, you'll be out of time. So to prevent this, you have to go to one of the zones at the start of the match and just be around. Just move around there, and once the bomb gets planted, then it's obviously at the other zone. For example, if you're at zone A and clearly the bomb is not there, and then the bomb gets planted, then obviously the bomb is at the other zone, zone B. So in that case, you have to immediately go to zone B. It's not good to keep on moving in the middle of the map while the enemy team plants the bomb, because in that case you will not know where the bomb is. And if you do that, then you're increasing your chances of losing. But sometimes the enemy team will plant the bomb as soon as possible, as soon as the match begins. If the enemy team does this and your team is in the middle, then in this case you have no choice but to split up, because you don't know where the bomb is. If all of you go to one zone and the bomb is not there, then you're obviously going to lose that match. So it's better to split up. If everyone is still alive, maybe 3 people can go to zone A and 2 people can go to zone B. Even if only 3 of you are alive, still you have to split up to increase your chances of winning. Because if you don't, you might go to the wrong zone, and that will cement the victory for the enemy team. I think that's it for the sabotage tips. This is a game mode which has to be played as a team. If you play this game mode solo, you will suffer. Most likely the game will put you on a team of bots, while the enemy team will be full of real players from the same clan. So you will suffer so much, and trust me, it will be so painful. But this was just a beginner tips video for players who are new to sabotage mode. In the future, we shall work on a video to give tips on how to defeat very strong teams in sabotage that stick together. Stay tuned for that video. Thanks for watching, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Baby girl, don't go, look the other way, and nobody will know, if it's all the same, and call my place your home, I don't wanna chase, ayy, but don't want you to go. Oh, all I want is you, ooh, all you need is me, I know what to do, ooh, only I can see, yeah. Know I love the view, ooh, climb under the sheets, do just what you do, ooh, put me back to sleep, yeah, oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage, oh yeah, I woke up on my mattress next to a savage. You take a fucking bad chick, put her on a mattress. Baby, she's a savage, but she lets me have it. Oh, we getting at it, want a couple glasses. You could be my captive, baby, be proactive. She looking so attractive, dressed with the backlist, we can make it happen.